Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia Online, a congregation striving to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. I am Tim Dickerson, and I am so glad to welcome you to our community. We are grateful in our online worship to be able to connect with many folks from Missouri and beyond. Wherever you are connecting, we welcome you. A few comments about protocol for today's online worship. We are in Zoom and streaming live on Facebook. We are in Zoom webinar mode, so we can't hear or see you. Feel free to eat your breakfast in your PJs, and don't worry if your day is a bit noisy. You will be able to say hello and to interact with the service throughout the chat feature in Zoom and the comments on Facebook. If you're with us on Zoom, make sure you select panelists and attendees so everyone can see your comment. This will be particularly useful if you wish to share a joy or sorrow when we reach that portion of the service. A few notes about accessibility. We are using Zoom's native auto captioning service, which means you will see automatically generated subtitles at the bottom of your screen. If you prefer, you can hide or alter the subtitles by clicking the closed caption button on your screen. We know that auto captioning is never entirely accurate, but we hope it's close enough to be helpful. We will also be providing spoken descriptions of the videos and images we use. And we'd like to invite you to please contact us if you have any other accessibility or inclusion needs that we can strive to meet in our online worship. If this is your first time worshiping with us, we'd like to invite you to fill out a digital visitor's card at the link provided in the chat. Let us know a little bit about you. Our minister, the Reverend Molly Hausch Gordon, is away on sabbatical until August 2nd, and we are honored during that time to be served by the Reverend Dr. C.W. Dawson as sabbatical minister, who is preaching this morning. And I'd like to thank the folks that make our online worship possible. Thank you today to our online usher, Dottie Matthews, and we're always so grateful for our amazing staff, April Rodriguero, running slides, Aaron Dyka-Hawley, preparing digital liturgy, religious educator Jamila Batchelder, music director Jeremy Wagner, and pianist Han Bridger Harith. And a special thanks to Larry Lyle for making all of this magic happen inside the sanctuary. So we want to give him a shout out as well. For our prelude this morning, we share with you this video of Dr. Jamie Meadows, whom you might know as part of our church community, performing her original composition, Long Way to Heaven. The video shows Jamie sitting in front of an upright piano playing an electric guitar. Jamie has curly chin-length light brown hair, rosy peach skin, and is wearing a black sleeveless top with patterned green skirt. Will you please take a deep breath, find a comfortable position for your body, and sink into this time of inspiration and this space of renewal as you listen to the music.
It's a
Our opening words are from Amy Mackenzie Quinn. Welcome to this common, sacred space. Common because we are all welcome. Sacred because here we transform the ordinary and attend to the profound. We carry with us our regrets, doubts, fears, stories, laughter. May they inspire our worship. Above all, may we each meet what we need most to find. On this day, in this common, sacred space. Please join in singing our gathering hymn, Meditation on Breathing, by Sarah Dan Jones. This video was made by the First Unitarian Society of Denver. It shows singers each in their own box while they sing. The singers are a variety of ages, genders, and races. Find the lyrics in the chat or simply listen with your heart until the words are with you and you feel compelled to add your voice. We now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith in the community that holds us, in the bright flame of the human spirit that unites us. As we share an image of our church chalice on the screen, you may wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for a digital chalice. And then if you would please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, country, and world to share our weekly words of affirmation shown on the slide and shared in the chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. Today's service explores the concept of doubt. One thing that I've noticed about myself, perhaps about all human beings, is how much we crave certainty. We want things to fit into simple categories: yes or no, right or wrong, true or false. Everything put away neatly in our mind, all sewn up with no loose ends. When we find ourselves in a place of doubt, it is almost physically uncomfortable to hold that not knowing. There's an urge to either rush back to the safe shores of what we once believed, or to race to the opposite shore of total rejection of what we once believed. But there is much to be gained by getting more comfortable in the open waters of doubt. So for our centering, I want you to find that edge in your mind. Perhaps a place you have been avoiding, where a doubt lies, where a comfortable truth no longer fits. So take a moment to find that place. Feel that frayed edge of understanding, full of loose ends. Bring your attention to these tips and tendrils, and imagine them growing outward, searching for something to grasp onto. But for now, let them merely dance outward into this space between knowing. Let yourself feel lost in this great open space. Try to relax into this feeling. See if you can find that this feeling of being lost is also a feeling of expansiveness, of endless possibility and exploration. That this space of unknowing is infinitely greater than the edges of certainty that you are reaching for. And within this space lies greater truths than you ever imagined. Let us rest here for a few more breaths before we continue our journey.
And now, as we share an image of lit candles and our joys and sorrows stones on the screen, I'd like to invite you to bring your loving attention and compassionate presence to our community as we share the joys, sorrows, and prayers of our community. Let us hold one another in heart across the distance, remembering our connections and feeling that we are held in love amid life's sorrows and joys alike, now and always. I will begin by sharing the joys and sorrows submitted at our website, and then I will invite those gathered to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. We join our hearts with Tonette Repetto, who learned this week that her brother has been diagnosed with brain cancer. We hold her, their family, and her brother in our hearts with prayers for healing. And now I'd like to invite you to share any other joys and concerns you have in the chat, and I will read as many as I am able to. Dottie Matthews is saying, we are holding our beloved brother C.W. Dawson as he undergoes a medical procedure this week to deal with some health issues he has been experiencing. May all go well with quick recovery. Okay, so may we join our hearts in prayers for Rebecca Graves. Shares that joy that I was able to spend 2 weeks with my mother and sister thanks to the vaccine. Also a joy to have family to see grandbaby Penny, the new member of our family. So it's great news to hear. And with that, may we hold all the joys and sorrows that are unspoken in our hearts, and may we pray for those as well. Now, please join in the spirit of prayer and meditation. These words were written by Reverend Elizabeth Neung. God of mercy, Spirit who makes peace out of war, who wonders with refugees and keeps vigil with children at our borders and all borders. Holy healer in hospitals and shelters, at schools and homes, at weddings and in planes. May your love be balm for all the hurt. May your truth be present in offices of power and in the hearts of soldiers and civilians alike. Many times we thought the arc was bending towards justice. Many times we saw it happen in courtrooms and in streets, in the hearts of people creating their own liberation. Many times we have also doubted. For those of us this morning who doubt, who despair that brokenness and suffering and war may win, remind us of all the small mercies, the tiny triumphs. Hope dwells in this world. Now I invite you to sing along with The Spirit of Life by Carolyn McDade. Nylea Butler Moore arranged the hymn for choir, and it is sung by the UU Virtual Singers of the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos. The slide includes the lyrics, which also appear in the chat, and a photo of Rux at the shore of the ocean, shrouded by mist with a pink and blue sky.
Come unto me.
Our first reading is titled, Try to Love the Questions Themselves, by Rainer Maria Rilke. That's translated by Stephen Mitchell. Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps, then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer. Our second reading is by Reverend Richard S. Gilbert. Try to love the questions themselves. It is not that we are not believers. It is that our belief has to be passed through the fires of skepticism and boiled in the crucible of doubt. You have heard it said, ours is not to reason why. Ours is to but do and die. But I say unto you, ours is not to doubt and die. Ours is to seek the reason why. When we doubt, we affirm the importance of reason and our confidence in ourselves as centers of religious authority. When we doubt, we affirm the seriousness of the religious quest. When we doubt, we recognize that truth was not engraved in stone 2,000 years ago. When we doubt, we acknowledge that our understanding of truth is imperfect. When we doubt, we strengthen our faith. For the faith of doubt, we give thanks. For the doubt of faith, we make glad thanksgiving. For the courage of adventure that welcomes questions as much as answers. For the beloved community of seekers, we sing our alleluias into the silent darkness.
Good morning, everyone. A few years ago, actually about 20 years ago, I was in the Riverside Church in New York, and I heard a sermon called Doubting Our Doubts. Captured my imagination. And for 20 years now, I've been wrestling, struggling with what does it mean to doubt and then doubt our doubts. So let me begin this way with you this morning, because I don't want to keep you very long. On the one hand, I want to suggest to you that there is a critical doubting that needs to take place. It's the kind of doubting that questions the narratives that have encamped around us. It's an analysis of reason, but it's also a journey of faith. You all know me. You all know that I am a theist. I come from a Christian tradition, but that all causes me to doubt. For instance, is it really the case that if an ultimate reality exists, that it has to be three persons and still be one? Or what about this whole thing about immortality? What does it mean to exist beyond space and time? There's some questions that need to be asked, which doubt becomes very helpful. Do I simply sing the songs of the tradition to be traditional, or is there something else that needs to have been said that's been left out? Critical doubting, I want to suggest, ladies and gentlemen, is also about in the personal. Yeah. One of the things in the book called Whiteness that I share with you, particularly as white heterosexual males, is that the greatest challenge may not be for people of color to find out who they are. The greatest challenge might be for white heterosexual males to find out what it means to be that. The Marlboro Man is dead. Wally Cleaver, that's gone. And what does it mean now to be male in America? What does freedom look like? We're at the edge of Juneteenth. Wonderful that the Congress and the president signed into law that now Juneteenth is a federal holiday, but is that it? Is there more to be done? There's some critical analysis that needs to be done. Listen, you all know I come from that Christian background. My grandmother may be my first critical analyzer in my life. I remember that, all of us had heard of those of us coming out of the Christian tradition, slaves, be obedient to your master. And my grandmother said, that's not from God. That's from Paul. And I don't believe that. And I was like, Grandma, it's in the Bible. It's got to be. And she said, I don't care if it's in the Bible. It's not true. That didn't come from God. Critical analysis where doubt becomes important in order for us to find real center and to question the narratives. But that's not the kind of doubt I'm talking about today. The kind of doubt I want to lift up is the kind of doubt that immobilizes us, that cripples us, that prevents us from moving from point A to point B. Those doubts. And let me begin inside and work my way outside. So there comes, first of all, the analysis and the admitting that we have doubts. It's Father's Day. Every person, every man that's tried to be a father, and every woman who's had to be both father and a mother have had those days in which, particularly when that child seems to be as rebellious as possible, to wonder, am I being a good parent? Or how about those of us who've been in the kicked out crew? The kicked out club is the club of people who have had positions that we thought they were for us, and we thought that that's who we were. And all of a sudden, somebody looked us in the eye and said, we don't need you anymore. And that kind of doubt makes you question who you are. It makes you question that, am I of worth? Anybody's ever had somebody they love and then suddenly that person walked away from them? It'll put doubt in your heart. Is it something about me that makes me unworthy? Doubt. And so in the first analysis of doubting our doubts, we have to doubt that says, I'm unworthy. Let me do this with you. I only got a few more Sundays to be with you, so I'm trying to work this stuff out as quickly as I can. And it goes like this. Everybody in this virtual sanctuary needs to know that you have a gift in you. What makes you valuable, what makes you worthy, what makes you important is not what other people say. It's the fact that the gift in you, if we feed it, if we sustain it, if we allow it to grow within us, the gift will make room for you. My worth is not based upon other folks' opinion, because people are fickle. My worth is grounded in the fact that in us, there is a gift more precious than gold. And so when that person has walked away from you, maybe it's because the gift has tried to tell you that everybody in your life is not supposed to be there forever. Lord, I wish I had a witness in here. Maybe the fact that you lost that position was in order that your gift might grow, to find out that you're more than a position. Maybe your ministry did not continue there because the ultimate reality was trying to remind you that all of us who do ministry have to do it through our proclivities and our pain. You are of worth. So you have to doubt the doubt of self-hatred. You have to doubt the doubt of self-doubt. Secondly, there comes the doubt of others. Listen, I in the virtual office hour this week, which, by the way, thank you, everybody. Virtual office hour now has kind of become my virtual party time with the congregation. There's always 2 or 3 or 4 people who show up, and we were talking, and one of the participants in the conversation said, when I think about folks like Mitch McConnell, my blood starts to boil. Listen, we have been on this journey for social justice and social equality for a long, long time. And doubt says, maybe people don't want to change. They're comfortable in the little spaces in which they live in. Am I preaching to the choir? Sometimes it makes you say, can I really put my hope and my trust in the common good and believe that one of these days we might be a place of both equality and equity? And then one of the members of this UU congregation helped me. He gave me a nugget. I will never forget it. His name is Dave Gibbons. And I hope I'm saying his name correctly. And Dave said to me, people talk about faith communities. I think about my faith in community. Because yes, there are the Oath Keepers, and yes, there are the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazi Party and the Trumpites who refuse to bear the truth. And all of that is going on all around us. But you got to remind yourself, doubt that the world is against us, that we cannot make it, because there's always been folks who have committed themselves to the beloved community. There's always been some folk, in spite of death, in spite of torture, in spite of being excluded, who have been willing to stand and say, though the storm may rise against me, I'm going to stand and not be moved. I got faith in community. There was a community before we got here that said, oh freedom, and before I be a slave, I be buried in my grave and go on to my Lord and be free. There was a community. There's a community right now of folk who will say, I'm going to stand by the bloodstained banner. I used to, ladies and gentlemen, I used to be afraid to use that term because of the militaristic kind of overtones that used to go with it. But then I stopped being silly and realized the bloodstained banner was the blood of those who gave their lives, who gave their careers, who gave their voices for justice. I'm willing to stand with the bloodstained banner. Dave said, I have faith in community. And it helps me to doubt my doubt about folk. I wish I felt a little better. Listen, one more. I have faith in my ultimate reality. And listen, I'm thinking like Howard Thurman. Howard Thurman said it's not the God of the Apostle Creed. It's not the God of what you learned in Sunday school. Because all of us have been hurt by churches. Come on, somebody. You all ought to witness with me and say, amen. All of us have been hurt by the stuff that goes on in churches. Listen, I watched the Southern Baptist Convention this week, and I listened to that crap, and I wondered, I said to myself, how long, Lord, how long that you want to fight against critical race theory? A tear came to my eye. When I hear folks like McCarthy, and I hear folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and in our own state, Josh Hawley, my soul gets troubled. And I wonder to myself, have you and I only been talking to the choir? And sometimes you just have to go to an ultimate reality. Howard Thurman says you have to meet the God who met you at the altar of your heart. And I'm saying God, but it could be, you call it whatever you want. Because again, Shakespeare is correct. A rose by any other name is still a rose. You got to meet him at the altar of your heart. I'll give you this story and then I'm gonna get on out of your way. I had a woman who was a UUer who had a daughter that was in trouble. She was having a hard time in school. She was going through all kinds of shenanigans with the administration. She was about to graduate and it looked like it was not going to come to fruition. And she came to me and she said, Pastor, what should I do? And so we strategized about all the pragmatic and practical things in which one can do. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then I had the audacity to say, did you pray about it? And she said to me, she said, Reverend Dawson, I have never prayed. I just don't come from that kind of tradition. I just never pray. I said, well, why don't you try it? Because, we've tried everything else. Why don't you try it? I said, create a sacred space in your house. That's why I love the chalice lighting that you all and we do in the UU tradition. I love that. Light a candle. Light a candle and tell God, say, Mama, I need you. What's going on? I don't understand. Tell God all about it and see what God has to say. And I know, ladies and gentlemen, this may shock some of you, but she did it. And guess what? God moved in glory. Her child not only graduated, but her child is doing what she loves and thriving in a cutthroat place, New York City, in a cutthroat place, doing real well. Sometimes you have to tell God. Last night at 2:30 in the morning, my wife and I were awakened by gunshots. Somebody, I live in the hood, you all know that, and we were awakened by a series of gunshots. And I thought to myself, when are we gonna stop killing each other? What can I do? And I just told God, give me the strength. Give me the wisdom to speak to men and women, white, black, blue, green, Christian, non-Christian, theist, non-theist. Give me the wisdom to say in a powerful way, study war no more. I believe that in the process of doubting our doubts, we come to a different kind of framework, a different kind of reality. And whether or not the Southern Baptists get it together or not, that's something. But somebody's getting them together. I mean, after all, look at us. Y'all got this Black Baptist pastor, theist in your midst. I sure can't wait until the delegates from the UU General Assembly get back so I can pick their brain, because I want to ask them, did anybody lift up that even though we are a denomination committed to social justice, that we keep practicing ecclesiastical racism? Guess what? Over in Columbia, over in Little Columbia, at the UU Church in Little Columbia, we got a theist, we got a Black man, we got a Baptist, he as the sabbatical interim. And guess what? The roof did not fall in, the walls did not come crumbling down, nobody died of a heart attack. When he raised his voice, nobody fell out, thought, oh my God, is he having a seizure? We were able to provide a witness in this town that if we are true, even when the doubts come, because y'all, come on now, let's be honest with each other. You know, there were some folk who were worried, Lord, will that Dawson be too Christian and try to make us evangelical? guess what? In spite of our doubts, we took a leap of faith, and it's been all right. And so I want to tell you, don't you let doubt cripple you. Don't you let doubt stop you. Use doubt for critical analysis, but don't ever let doubt get in the way of your progress. Because in the midst of that, all we must do is doubt our doubts. May it be so. Amen.
Amen indeed. Thank you so very much, Dr. Dawson, for those words for us to practice. Listen now to Jamie Meadows playing her song, Winds of Change. The video once again shows Jamie singing and playing a guitar in front of an upright piano. Now is the time in our service when we join in the spiritual practice of generosity, guiding our hearts away from the fear and scarcity all around us, and remembering that it is by sharing and supporting one another that we feel most human. We close with words from our very own remarkable digital liturgist, the Reverend Aaron Dyka Hawley. However you experience doubt, or begin to doubt your doubts, or find yourself believing anew despite, for once, always, you question not alone. You doubt not alone. You believe not alone. You are loved. Please join in singing our benediction. The words are on the screen and in the chat. Please join us at the link in the chat or the meeting ID on the slide for coffee hour, when we get a chance to see one another's faces and catch up in small breakout rooms. Thank you for spending part of your morning with us, and have a wonderful day.